We're out here today at Antler Ridge in Smithville, Missouri. I'm here with Roger Sigler, the owner of Antler Ridge. And Roger is sort of the pioneer, I guess, if you will, of the shed antler dog movement. And I've been really blessed to have an opportunity to come out here and actually purchase one of your dogs from you. And we met her today and got a beautiful yellow lab. And we just can't wait to continue the training that you started. Tell me a little bit about how you got started with shed antler dogs and what you're doing here at Antler Ridge.
Okay, well, about 6 years ago, I volunteered at the Kansas State Prison to train the inmates to train dogs. And it was a 2-year program. During the first 3 semesters, they trained simple stuff like sit down, stay, come to their name, come to whistle. And at the last semester, I wanted them to train some more complicated discipline like bomb dogs or drug dogs. So when I went to the warden and suggested bomb dogs or drug dogs, he wasn't very supportive of that. So I was looking for a discipline. The discipline actually became antler dogs. So it was born out of the Kansas State Prison program. And it's just exploded.
How did you come up with that idea? Did you already know that dogs could find antlers?
Well, a number of years ago, I can remember I was hunting horns with a buddy of mine, and we were out in the field, and he says, "Hey, you train dogs, why don't you train dogs to find horns?" And that was just a thought. I mean, like a lot of good ideas, start with a question. And so I thought, well, why not? And but like so many of the things that I've done in life, I generally could find someone else that I could call, to ask about how to maybe go about doing it. Okay, with antler dogs, I didn't have a clue, and no one else had a clue, because you could talk to guys about bomb dogs and they could tell you about that, or you could talk to guys about hunting dogs and they could tell you about that, or you could talk to guys about scenting dogs and they could tell you about that. But these dogs are actually a combination of all those disciplines, and if you don't know all of the disciplines, you can't really train the dogs, because you have to incorporate all of those different concepts into one animal.
And so you have developed a program here where you will take puppies that you've kind of pre-selected for their breeding.
Right.
At 8 weeks of age.
Right.
These puppies come here with you at
Right.
Antler Ridge, and you spend typically 2 months working with these dogs before they go home. And that's kind of the situation that I'm in. You've been working with Dorothy for 8 or 9 weeks now.
Right.
And talk about the kinds of things you start right at 8 weeks to start that foundation for building an antler dog.
Okay. Well, because we train a method that we learned from the dolphin trainers and animal trainers at the highest level, it's all about reward. We call ours the science of participative training. Because we're using rewards, you literally can start a puppy at 8 weeks of age. We work under the premise that a human baby can learn almost any number of languages by the time they're 5 years old. We believe that a dog, by the time they're 14, 16, 18 weeks of age, should know and understand all their obedience that they're going to need for the rest of their life. Okay? And you can start them at 8 weeks, because we're not using choke chains, we're not using electricity, you're not abusing them in any kind of way. This relationship that we're creating with the animal is all that the animal is working with us. Like I said, we call it the science.
You're also a big proponent of having folks such as myself.
Right.
You want people to come here,
Yes.
spend time with you,
Right.
and then be able to continue that.
Right.
How long is the process? You've put the foundation in, and I'm getting a dog now that's basically 4 months old.
Right.
I saw just a few minutes ago your wife's dog, which is a little bit older, and it was running around like crazy and finding the antlers that had been hidden out in the field, and it really was impressive.
Right.
What's the process from start to finish, and the time frame, and what kind of performance do you see out of these dogs in terms of how many antlers you can actually find?
Well, like any dog sport, it's always about the quality of the dog. And as we start evaluating these dogs, let's say you have 5 puppies in a litter, okay? And this kind of rings true. You may have 2 that are going to make it, and then 1 is going to be kind of a question, and then there's 2 that they may find some horns, but it's not going to be at the same level as the 2 that are going to succeed. Now, you know that those 2 are going to make it. Now, what you don't know at early age is whether or not they're going to be a 60, 70, 80, and 90. okay? You know that they're gonna work. Some of these dogs start to perform at 7, 8 months of age. I mean, at the highest level. Some of them are, you know, a year. Some of them are a little older a year. I mean, we start talking about really high levels. And as far as production, when we first started, I used to say, you know, a good dog will about double your production. And part of the reason for that is, if you're walking out in, say, CRP, and the weeds are up to your waist, you know, you may see a horn out there on the ground, 40 yards out on the bare ground, but the dog's down in the weeds, so it can't see it. So what we always do is work the dog around into the wind, okay, to let that dog find the one that we see, and a lot of times the dog will find the offside in the grass, okay, that you can't see, so you're working as a team. Mm-hmm. But as we progress through the training, about 4 years ago now, I had a yellow dog, a great dog, sold him to a cranberry grower in Wisconsin, and he used to find 5 to 6 to every one I found. And I understand now that he's a mature dog, he's probably finding a lot more than that, 5 or 6. In fact, I'm pretty sure that that's the case. It's a great dog. But not this winter, but the winter before last, a year ago, spring, we took a young dog, he's 14 months old, up to Canada. And we average about 35 horns a day up there. I mean, and those are real numbers, those aren't doctored any. And one day we found 35 horns, and this dog found 30 of them. So this one yellow dog, I mean, he's just a machine. But he's an exception to the rule. I mean, we may never train another dog as good as him. I think I've got a couple of young dogs coming on that are, but but once you see it at the highest level, it's very impressive.
Well, hopefully I'm going to have a dog that fills the back of the pickup truck with antlers, and I know one thing for sure, it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's what's making this so popular, I guess, is it's just a really great way to spend time outdoors with your dog, and at a time of year when maybe, it's not hunting season, when that snow melts, and that's the prime time to get out there and hunt the antlers, and adds a whole other element to your yearly outdoors calendar.
It puts you back in the field. Okay, and a lot of guys use these dogs for prospecting, because that big buck you saw last fall, okay, you don't know whether or not he's still out there, he's been shot, if he left the country, whatever. But when you go out there in the spring and you find his horns, you know he's still there, and where you found him, pretty good sign that he's probably going to be pretty close to there when it comes hunting season. There's no guarantees. But I say that there's 10 million deer hunters in the United States. And as I lecture around the country, every now and then I find somebody that's really crazy about deer meat, but most of these guys, they're out there hunting because, why? They're after those big horns. Okay? It's about bragging rights. And if they can find them on the ground with their dog, it's just as much of a reward to them as if they shoot the deer and they get them on the head.
Yeah.
So it's becoming more, in any dog sport, any sport that you can do with a dog, I don't care if it's rabbit hunting, bird hunting, whatever. If you're doing it with your best friend, it just adds immeasurable to it.